Kia ora, kia hora, te marino, kia whakapapa puna mo te moana, kia tere te koharoreri, e moi e tō heorahi. Ko Quentin Campbell toka wengawa, ko Tainui toka waka, ko Ngāti Raukawa ki te tonga toka wewe, ko Ngāti Te Kōrehe toka hapu, ko Te Kōrehe toka marae. No rama te south, parapara umu ahau, kei Tamaki Makaurau toka kāinga ina. Te hononga o te Raki Northern Regional Alliance, ACE RMO, I mahi ahau. Nō reira, tēnā koutou, tēnā tautau katoa. The very beginning of Mihi was a Māori prayer, and that was just dedicated to the two mountaineers that lost their lives on Taranaki Maunga. So just respect that and welcome you all along as well. So I'll just kind of hand over to our team in Taranaki now.
Welcome everybody. I'm Shelley, one of the RMO coordinators here at Taranaki Base.
I'm Charlotte, RMO coordinator as well.
I'm Ashley, I'm a recruitment coordinator.
Kia ora, I'm Sam, I'm a PGY2 house officer currently over in hospice doing community attachment.
Kia ora koutou, my name's Apurva, I'm one of the PGY2s doing emergency medicine at the moment.
Welcome everyone, we've just got a little bit of a PowerPoint that we'll work through. We'll talk through some slides and then I'm sure the two RMOs joining us can maybe share a little bit about their experience and what's great about Taranaki DHB. Cool. So I guess firstly, these are the contact details of Charles Hunt, who is our recruitment manager, and Jackie, who's the RMO support unit manager. So they're the two, I guess, first port of call if you've got any queries around Taranaki DHB or anything like that. Then we've also got the link down here just to our website and our careers page. So that is where any vacancies are advertised and where our annual recruitment cycle that's just about to start will be advertised as well. A little bit of a statement under there about why I chose Taranaki DHB. Yeah, it's just a great place to come and learn. We're, you know, a reasonably small DHB. So, you know, you get to know everyone, which is a really, really cool thing. It's a very supportive environment and a friendly working environment. Again, probably because we're one of the smaller DHBs. Taranaki itself is a fantastic place. You know, you get enough time off around here to enjoy the region and some things that we have to offer. So this is a little bit around our selection criteria. So I guess firstly, your cover letter that you supply with your application is your opportunity to stand out. So that's where it's really good idea to, you know, include any connections that you have to Taranaki, particularly why you might want to come and work at our DHB. And we do look at that when we are shortlisting, because obviously there's a number of people that apply. So that's one of the main things. We don't conduct formal interviews, so this is kind of your opportunity to really sell yourself through your cover letter and your application. Again, it mentions there, so there is some scoring and multiple people shortlist all of the applications and obviously have different perspectives and different weightings and then jump together as a group and kind of come up with a general consensus from there. There are some points there as well around, you know, a motivational fit is a really good thing that we can pull out of your application and out of your cover letter. The other thing that's really important is I know you're asked to provide references as part of your application. So that's where we can pull things like, you know, your personal work standards, your ability to build rapport, and a few of those other things that are mentioned in there. We can pull those out of the references. So it's, yeah, really good idea to include some good references. I don't know if anyone has anything else that I'd like to add around selection.
Probably
criteria?
Just reiterating what Ashley said, the cover letter when we apply was definitely the most important thing, especially Taranaki is a smaller DHB. It's got a smaller number of positions here, so it is hard to get a job here. So it's really important that you do have a cover letter that does stand out and really just exemplifies what Ashley's mentioned, that what we look for at the hospital.
Yeah, I think too with connections, not just family, but you know, if you have a relationship with somebody here, or you've purchased property, anything that's showing you're committed probably to being here.
Yeah.
Or even if you don't have family down here, or you haven't bought a house down here, just being able to show that you're engaged in the region. I know I didn't have family down here, but saying you joined a surf club down here, you're playing sport for a club down here, just showing that you're engaging and making the most of living in a really cool place in New Zealand.
Yeah, next slide is just a little bit about Taranaki itself and Taranaki DHB. Let me just have a quick look through. So we are, as you may have seen, so we've got a section of our hospital that's reasonably new, and then we are just, I think, is it by 2023? There's a new section of the hospital that's going to be built as well, which includes a really cool kind of state-of-the-art. There's a renal building that's being built, and then kind of most of our clinical areas are going to be moved over into this new section, which will be really, really cool. Yeah, so we have got two hospitals. We have got Taranaki Base Hospital, so that's kind of our big hospital in New Plymouth. And then we also have Hawera Hospital, so a rural hospital. And, you know, some people might have opportunities to work across both, which I think is a really cool experience to kind of witness the two different environments. And I'm sure they work quite differently.
Yeah.
I don't know. You guys have anything else you want to?
Only 45-minute drive away.
Yeah, as a student, I had the opportunity to do a placement in Hawera Hospital. And as you said, Ashley, it really provides a good understanding of the different environments that you can encounter in Taranaki, the urban environment and the rural environment, with the challenges that each face. And I have colleagues who are doing community runs in Hawera Hospital this year as well. And as a student, it was one of the best student placements I did. So I'm sure that people who have that opportunity when they're qualified doctors as well really take a lot of value from it as well.
This is just a little bit of a blurb from testimony. A little bit of a blurb from Sam King, who's one of our the registrar now, isn't he? That's working here at Taranaki DHB. I'm sure these slides will be circulated or put somewhere, so you're welcome to have a read through. Yeah, just basically saying that because we are a small hospital, small DHB, you know, RMOs, house officers, registrars do find themselves with a little bit more responsibility because we are working in smaller teams. Yeah, that's fantastic. And it just mentions as well that a major draw card for many house officers looking at coming to Taranaki and work at Taranaki DHB is the work-life balance that we can offer. There's heaps of really cool outdoor activities you can do. We've got the mountain, we've got the foreshore, all of the beaches. And yeah, if you're a person that's into that, this is a really cool place to come. As well as that, I suppose we've got really cool restaurants. I'd say we've got pretty good restaurants for the size of us.
And even better cafes for the size of us.
Yeah. Yeah, so if you like food and like being outdoors, this is a really cool place to come. Yeah, oh, it also mentions here as well, we have got a rec centre, so you know, staff can choose to join that for a very, very small cost. And you have access to that 7 days a week. It's got a gym, a heated pool, squash court, like a netball basketball court with hoops for both. So that's a really, really cool thing that we can offer as well. It's also got, I believe, like nets for volleyball and badminton and all of that stuff. And weekly yoga classes. Yes, good point. So weekly yoga classes too, to help your wellness. And then I think we've just got a couple of last slides, just a little bit about some extra info, a little bit around, yeah, so the facilities, saying that there's an RMO room, well serviced, has, you know, a TV, computer, kitchenette, all of that stuff. We have the staff library, our cafeteria. There's on-site accommodation as well if you know you were needing it. We have a staff hostel. And then it's got some little information down there around an after hours roster, which again, probably better have a read through if you're interested in. The last slide there, one more, next slide, sorry. The last slide there is just around annual leave entitlements, our rotations, some training, and then some post-grad training opportunities as well.
I was here as a TI and had a fantastic year down here, really keen to stay on, and luckily enough I did with a really good group of first year doctors. And what really kind of stood out to me coming to work here was just how close everyone is, how well people knew each other, and how broad any kind of experience you'd have would be. For example, on general medicine, each team has a flavour of what specialty they look at with a consultant that's generally got a special interest or training in an area, but you'll see everyone. So I was on the cardiology and renal teams, but during that time you would be on call for acute strokes, you would see all the rehab patients, you'd see a number of other gastro, renal, respiratory presentations. So you do come out of your general medical run with areas that you're stronger in, and then a really good broad experience around everything. And the other thing is as well, when you're on calls, you do get a really good experience of covering surgery, ortho, all the medical specialties. You cover ICU to an extent in psychiatry. So you end up learning a lot, and looking back after a year and a half in, it's kind of amazing the amount of breadth that you get that you might not get in other centres where you're more subspecialised.
Yeah, I agree with everything that Sam said. I was in Taranaki as a 5th year student, and then I did my TI year in Auckland, and I never really thought I would go back and work in the regions, because I'm from Palmerston North, which is obviously a regional centre, but my time in New Plymouth in 5th year really highlighted the advantages that working in a regional hospital does offer. Firstly, as Sam mentioned, the hospital is a very close-knit place. Everyone's very friendly, and all of your bosses are quite invested in your kind of learning and development as an individual. They get to know you on a first name basis, and any kind of interests you have are kind of nurtured as well. So I have colleagues who are like quite interested in cardiology, and they've had opportunities to spend time in the angio suite, and other colleagues who've assisted in a lot more kind of surgeries and operations than other colleagues I have in bigger centres. So if you kind of express an interest in something, that's really fostered, which is great. And then the second aspect is the work-life balance. I really love that I can drive for 5 minutes and reach my workplace, and parking's free, and it's really convenient. And some days you do finish a little bit later, but on the whole, the finish times are reasonable, and you get a chance to enjoy the beautiful Taranaki region as well. So yeah, I've really enjoyed my first couple of years here, and will stay for as long as I can.
No, I think we're just talking to them. Yeah. So we've got a great question about the initiatives that are taking in place to essentially equitably improve the health and well-being of the Māori population, which is really relevant for Taranaki, where we have quite a large in the region Māori population, and also we're getting more and more multicultural as time goes on, with other people from other countries as well coming in. So initiatives that were put in place really is we do give the option for te reo classes through the hospital. We've had specific house officer teachings on equity as well. We've also got a fantastic paediatric department that I know has got a lot of country leading initiatives when it comes to Māori health and general health equity there. Anything you guys want to add?
Cover that. No, that's perfect.
So runs that are possible as a PGY1. So the key ones are general medicine. Then that's, as I said before, it's quite general, but there is a team that focuses on cardiology. There's a renal team, a gastro team. We do just have a new respiratory consultant, so I can see that being an evolving team that comes out. We've also got medical rehab as well. We've got general surgery, and again, that has some specialties related to the surgeons. We've got a team that's got a colorectal surgeon. We've got an upper GI specialist, breast and endocrine there. We've also got psychiatry and orthopedics there. And then PGY2 is where it's getting more varied. We're getting a lot more community-based attachments. So we've got a hospice run, which is excellent. As we mentioned before, there's a chance to go out to Hawera to work in their new GP practice they've got there and help out in the hospital as well. There's public health that's coming out. There's community-based older people's care. And then there's obviously the relief runs. There's medical admitting runs, which is a good stepping stone for people that are keen becoming medical registrars or interested in medicine themselves. And then you've got the other runs like obstetrics and gynecology. You've got another chance to do orthopedics if you're interested in that, urology. ENT's become a new run. Vascular, there's a special SHO position there, which is looked as a step-up position. If you're interested in surgery or want to have a bit more responsibility, you get to hold the phone and be surgical on call on that with the support of having seniors there.
And there's ED as well.
Oh, ED, I missed the big one. Yeah, there we go.
Yeah. So the next one's about electronic or paper-based record system. I think mostly electronic. There are just a few areas of the hospital that still use kind of paper charts for medications, which would be ICU, PEDS, and ED, but everywhere else is all on MedChart. I think still have paper-based notes on ward rounds and for patient vital signs, but on the whole, I think, we're sort of more on the electronic side of things.
What's a good food like? There's always a good variety down there.
Yeah.
The cafe is always full.
We've got, yeah, we've got ice cream, chocolate, chips. Yeah, and there is a decent variety. Being a smaller hospital, there will be a couple of meat options, a vegetarian option there. Nights can be variable, weekends can be variable too, but I think it's the same that you'd find with most hospitals.
Yeah, you always get recovery days after night shifts. You get three days off after a set of nights.
How long do you start working? So Taranaki, the soonest you can work is within your first 3 months if you've done a general medical run. So they want you to have experience in acute medicine first, or if you haven't, then it's 6 months with a medical run beforehand.
Some people have gotten away with 3/4 of their first year before doing nights.
Oh no, it's been a whole year.
Oh, and
yeah, they started doing their first nights at PGY2.
Yeah.
But to be honest, I think for me, nights are something to actually learn a lot of, because you do have a lot of responsibility. You also have a lot of support as well. But that's when you get to learn and do some of the most medicine yourself, work out patients yourself. Yeah, so as per MECA with RDA, you'll always get the day off of the morning you finish nights, and then you get 2 more days. That can either be the weekend, Saturday or Sunday, or if you finish up midweek, you get 2 days after that. So essentially you get 3 days off, with the first day being a day some people choose to sleep, some people just have a whole lot of coffee and dash through and get their sleep cycle back. So yeah, you get pretty much 3 full days off. It's 15. It's just gone up from 13 when I applied. Yeah. So it's been 15 in the last 2 years.
In the last 2 years, yeah.
Mm.
I'll just cut in there. The question is how many PGY1 positions are available.
Yeah, I think for the same question, but also the preference to Auckland and Otago. I think that really comes down to connection here, and how how eager you are to work in a regional centre and essentially contribute to what Taranaki needs and how Taranaki would fit your lifestyle as well. I think it would be fair to say there's an advantage if you've been here as a student, or if you've got family connections here. But also if you write a brilliant cover letter and you make contact with the unit, I feel like that's something that you really appreciate. There's people that haven't worked here before that get jobs.
What is the support like in the first few months of work? I think in general everybody's quite supportive, whether that's clinical or non-clinical. Yeah, everybody sort of wants to see you succeed.
Yeah, we're all assigned an education supervisor who's sort of our port of call if we need support in the first few months, and yeah, they're pretty approachable and accessible people, and then a lot of support comes from your colleagues as well. I think while you know people will have connections to the region, it's also a small place, so you're sort of all in the same boat, and it sort of becomes quite a close-knit cohort. And Sam and I certainly found that our whole group was really looking out for each other as we started. And like, for example, some teams are busier than others when you start work, but there's that real culture here of helping out teams that are more busy than your team and making sure that everyone kind of goes home at a reasonable time. So I found the work kind of culture and community really supportive as well within the house officer group.
Yeah, and definitely just to second that as well, like I think the biggest form of support that you get, and something that's so unique about working in a place as small as Taranaki, is that we know each other extremely well, and we've got a really good relationship where we do help each other out, and we've got people that have special interests and want to run things by each other. And also we're quite a social bunch as well, so there is that opportunity as well to meet after work, meet on weekends, and you get a bit of a chance to debrief or get opinions there. And the other thing is as well, is especially between house officers and registrars, there's not much of a hierarchy system at all. The registrars that we work with, they were, you know, our house officers when we were TIs, we know them quite well. And so there's just that little bit more personal connection that you know who you're calling when you're calling the med-reg for help or calling in orthopedics. You know who they are because you probably met them outside the hospital a number of times, or you've known them for a while, which is really neat.
So what orientation do you provide for PGY1s? So you get the week before you start, it's 4-day orientation. 4 days. So yeah, the first 3 days are learning about systems and how to do things. You do a ACLS refresher, then you're with your potential team for a whole day as a buddy, basically. So yeah, the previous one was kind of like 1.5 days of being on the ward with the team, start to finish. So then when it comes to Monday, you've got an idea of how your day will run.
And also we do a buddy system for your first long day or weekend. We buddy you up with an existing PGY1 or PGY2 just for support, so you know what you're doing in the evenings or weekend. Also,
part of the talks that you get isn't completely IT or systems. There's a lot of house officer buy-in, so they'll do how to approach your first long day, common ward calls, and just a quick tips and tricks to how to approach them. And yeah, the buddy system, it's either 1.5, 2 days of you with either a PGY 2 or 3, and they essentially just shadow you around. You get to run the ship, but they just help, you know, showing you the right directions where things are, answer questions, and that really does settle you in. And also it is, we do the long day buddying as well, which I think is a big help, because your first long day, you know you're going to be well supported, and you know that you can either have that support or you can divide tasks so you can take more time getting to learn the systems, which I think is really invaluable when you're starting.
And there's also an informal dinner during the week that's held by the lubrication supervisors. So yeah, so it's a chance for everybody to meet one another. And I think if you want to come and have a visit, you know, make arrangements first. That's always good. Yeah. But contact Jackie. Yeah. Probably in the first instance, and yeah.
Yeah, and if you let us know in advance as well, I'm sure you'll be able to get a house officer, show you around, answer some questions. Yeah. We're pretty happy to get time off to help you guys make a decision. Yeah.
Buddy with somebody.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the first one, another question that's come through is how many applications would we usually get for PGY1 positions? And is about being competitive and if a visit's necessary. From memory, we were just thinking we got over 100 applications for PGY1 positions the year just been. A visit isn't necessary, but I mean, we certainly make a note next to your name if you do. Yeah, it's not obviously not a compulsory thing, but if you want to come and have a look around even before you're making your decision on where you want to go, yeah, you're more than welcome to, but like the others said, let us know beforehand.
And just remember on ACE, your first rank position is really valuable. And I don't know, to be honest, I've been nervous putting Taranaki first if I hadn't visited it or at least had a really good connection here. Yeah, so I'd actually say definitely come visit. Yeah, we don't know how many people will apply, but in the last 2 years, it's been people with connections or people that have visited that have got jobs. Oh, is there a surfing group? Yeah, there is a surfing group. I am not good enough to make it, but I know that it exists. So it is out there if you're into it. And yes, it's good surf because we do get almost 270 degrees of coastline. So yeah.
Yeah, if anything else does come through, feel free to flick questions to us by email or something and we can get back to you.
Yeah, so any further questions can be directed towards myself and I can act as a conduit and get that through to Jackie. Or you can contact Jackie and her team yourselves. All of the contact information for Taranaki Hospital are up on the ACE RMO website. So you'll find their email and contact numbers in there as well. I'd just like to say tēnā pai and thank you to Apurva and Sam, particularly as our PGY1 reps to come in this afternoon, this evening. I really appreciate your korero. To Ashley, Shelley, Shayla, thank you very much for coming along as well and providing us with some insight with regards to working specifically with Taranaki Hospital. It's been really good to have you guys along. Anything final to add at all?
No, I don't think so. Just, yeah, thank you very much for having us and giving us the opportunity to have a bit of a chat.
Awesome. Well, mā whenua mā pango ka oti ai te mahi. Haere rā, and have a good evening. Thank you.
Thank you very much.